Welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book podcast. My name is Eric Wilbenaw, the president of the Baseball Blue Book, and today we are up in the great state of Maine. We're going to be talking to Coach Chris Morris at it's Husson University.
Husson,
and head coach up there. But before we begin, I want to make sure everybody, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Guys, it's the comments have been great. It helps us get the word out. And we're doing this to really help parents, players, and even coaches. Actually, Coach Morris and I were just talking that these podcasts for young coaches, Coach has been doing this for a while. A lot of people are finding some great value in it. So it's been a lot of fun. It's my privilege to interview these coaches. But today we've got Coach Morris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Sun's shining and 50 degrees, so you can't really beat that up here. That's for sure. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, that is great. And for those that may be watching this later on, this is in February. So this is a unique for the state of Maine. I've been talking with guys Northeast Pennsylvania. They're out playing ball for the first time in many years on the field, and it's going to be a great season. I'm real excited about this season. I don't know if it's maybe just we're now a few years out of the COVID stuff and the chaos, and we're ready to just play ball. And so it's going to be, I think it'll be a great season. So Coach Morris, today we're going to talk about your baseball journey, kind of the first part of the interview, kind of how you got to being a coach, some of your playing experience, anything that you'd like to talk about and what's important to you. And then on the back half, we'll really focus on Husson University's program, your program, your staff, and I think most importantly is players that may be interested. Maybe they haven't even heard of you guys, and how they can reach you, where you look for players. So it's a lot of fun, lots of information for people out there. So let's go ahead and get started, and where you started and kind of what got you into coaching.
Yeah, from a starting point, I played for some great coaches. I think throughout my high school career, growing up here in Eastern Maine, just had some great mentors and just great people in my life, and kind of always knew, I wanted the game to be a part of my life, and that coaching side of things, was so big. So decided to come here. I actually played my first year for John Winkin here at Husson. I'm a grad, obviously a legendary coach. It was great to see him before he moved on a little bit. And I was actually a two-sport athlete here at Husson. I played football as well. And our football coach was a great mentor. Gabby Price and Nat Clark were just, phenomenal, obviously, to me during my time here. So it kind of really started, I think, during that time for me. I really kind of got the itch. I liked the X's and O's side of things a little bit, and, was always interested in the game. And then would have been my junior year here at Husson, Legion program opened up. And my uncle, really all my uncles have kind of been involved in my life a lot, and athletics and sure. And one of my uncles is a legendary coach here. He's the head coach at Bangor High School. And hey, you should apply for this. And to be honest, I took it, and we had a pretty good year. And it was just kind of one of those things where you look back at it, and I was like, wow, I made so many mistakes, and I did something there, but it just showed me that this is really what I wanted to do. I kind of got the passion for it. And I was already a physical education major, so I kind of had that action as the teaching side of things. And that ran through really my last 2 years. And then I was really lucky enough, graduated from here, and was making my way through some of the teaching ranks in the area. And a job opened up here, coaching football, baseball. To be honest, I think I did everything underneath the sun while I was getting my master's. I did laundry, game management. I worked on the facilities. I was everywhere and everything. And, at the time I look at that experience and I was like, wow, that was so valuable to me. At the time I didn't love it. It's like, wow, I'm working all these hours, little pay, little this, but now I look at it and, where I'm at, I'm the director of facilities, an assistant AD at Husson now. And I'm like, wow, I learned so much during that time frame that I never would have figured that out. So, I look back at that and I'm like, wow, that was a real kind of critical point, I think, in my career, and where I was going. And, that summer, it would have been 2 summers after that. I'm actually very close with Coach T at Georgetown. Is a fantastic coach, another Maine guy, obviously. Yep. And I had reached out to him, and has always been able to give me great advice and guidance and stuff. And kind of got going in the summer ball ranks. And I went down to the Hamptons and coached a summer, and that was really where I think the itch took off. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I just was around a lot of high caliber players, some great people. Worked for Bill Ianziello, who's now the head coach at Adelphi, and just picked his brain all summer. Came back, and I just knew it was probably time for me to probably leave home a little bit. And I'd always been here in Eastern Maine. Went to Husson. Had always been here. Got my career started. Finished up my master's. And it also helped that my wife now had just moved to Boston. So it was one of those where I was at kind of a critical point probably in my life a little bit as far as what was going to happen. And kind of, to be honest with you, took a leap and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And took a job coaching with the Sanford Mainers with Aaron Isaric and during the summer, and kind of hoped to use that to get to somewhere in the Boston area. And that's where it kind of started. I went and emailed Coach Barlow at MIT, and met with him a couple of weeks after that. It was a bit of a busy summer for everybody, especially in the recruiting world. And that's where I kind of got going. And, second family kind of hit for me, to be honest. We're really close with the MIT staff still. Andy Barlow, Todd Carroll, Nick Gallagher. They adopted me, as they like to say, into Massachusetts and brought me in. And that was just an unbelievable experience. I was there for 3 years, and just some of the relationships that I made. And, I kind of reiterate that to a lot of our guys now. It's like, hey, as it's that relationship factor, and it's not always looking for the next job. We have some younger coaches right now who have been like, hey, work for somebody that you love, and work with somebody that you're going to learn from and is going to push you and challenge you to become a better person, become a better coach. And, those 3 years at MIT, Coach Barlow, Coach Gallagher, Coach Carroll, who's actually now with the Mariners, really challenged me, and they're best friends with me, now. So I'm excited about that. And was also the head coach of the Sanford Mainers for 3 years during that time frame. So I coached a lot of baseball, and I was, your 40 games at MIT plus the playoffs. And then I was another 40 games, during summer ball. And I think that was about as important in my development as a coach, to be honest, as anything. I know a lot of younger coaches, it's, I got to go recruit. And I think coaching is the best thing you can do. I push our guys, my younger assistants here, to go coach. I think it's just a great way for you to find your voice as a coach, to become a better coach, pick people's brains. At the end of the day, you're going to come back and have to coach. Recruiting is great and talent is great, but you got to coach them and be able to develop your teams and do those things. So I think summer ball was so critical in my development as a coach. And then was lucky enough, we had my first son, Max, and we were living outside the city, and position opened up at Brandeis with Coach Carlson. And we lived about 10 minutes from there. And, traveling into MIT was awesome. Obviously, I loved my time there. It was a really tough decision for me to leave. But, as far as a family decision, it was really the right move for me. And I absolutely loved my time there with Coach Carlson. It was great to be able to experience the UAA, just an unbelievable conference from a baseball side of things. And be able to work with another great coach, who's done it for a long time, and be able to pick his brain, and really learned a lot in that year. And, he really gave me the reins, from a recruiting standpoint, and gave me the reins from a, pitching staff standpoint, and, really kind of let me go. And, I look back at it and I'm like, wow, I really appreciate that. He really trusted me within that side, and we really kind of flipped the script and was a good side of things. And I was there about just over a year until the Husson position opened. And that was, I think it was in August. I was actually at Stanford camp, working Stanford camp in baseball for the summer, and heard of the position opening up. And that was kind of the initial factor of, I was like, wow, this could come full circle here, right? I'm like, wow, I didn't really envision myself going back. I really loved where we were at, and like kind of what we were building and doing those types of things. But they, as many people have told me, you can't really write your script, right? It's always going to happen at a different time. And, I was lucky enough to get the job here, and now we're on year 4, and back into it. And certainly has come full circle. That's for sure. With me having, 2 little boys now, actually one of them looks like he's out on our field right now, running around doing something with a couple of our guys. Hopefully he's not in the middle of a puddle, but it's been great to be home at the same time, and be able to lead your alma mater is something that's really, really special, in my eyes too.
That's great. That's great. Well, Chris, I wrote down a whole bunch of notes here, and one of the things that I heard, I hear it a lot with interviewing coaches, and it's about the relationships. But you've spent a lot of time talking about the different coaches that have been impactful in your journey. And then also, I'm going to try to bridge two topics. You also talked about you were a dual sport athlete, but you were also a dual coach, kind of coach football, coach baseball. What are some of the compare, contrast football versus baseball from a coaching perspective in the relationships? Because I think that I see a lot more of this bonding and I think people say people are always jumping around, moving in baseball, and it's certainly the case, right? 30% of these coaches, when I update my directory, they're always new. So 30%, you're going to have to update. Talk about that from the positive side, because it's not. I think people see that outside looking in as it may be a negative, but talk about that being a positive and what the difference is between maybe the football world and the baseball world is.
Yeah, I look at my experience coaching football, and I coached high school football for a year, like right when I graduated that kind of fall. And then that's where I kind of spun it into my time here. But I learned so much during that time frame, just about it. Football's so in depth, right? It's one game on a Saturday, right? And everything's built up, right? Everything's planned and orchestrated. And I really learned a lot in the fact of, how you can scout opponents, the in-depth that you can go as far as tendencies and those types of things. And then I think it was just, how do you prepare your team, for that each week and those kind of relationships that you build on from that. But it was such a great time for me because it was a lot, it was a lot that I was learning that was new at the same time. It's definitely a different voice. I think a little bit at times with me in baseball still, I'm pretty intense. I think that comes from that football side a little bit. And I think my guys play off of that a little bit as far as knowing, our clientele a little bit. And obviously we'll dive into some recruiting later, but something we look for obviously in the recruiting process as well, as far as matches and whatnot. But it was just so important for me to be able to coach everything. I coached, to be honest, the toughest job I've probably ever had. I coached middle school basketball. And this was right when I got done, and it was a friend had asked me, and I was one of those like, hey, sure, I'll do it. Like, let's see what and I learned, I was like, wow, I got to be really organized here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I played basketball, but never coached it. Right. And I'm sitting here, layup, I'm thinking layup line, I got to, and I'm like, so I actually had to study and I had to do my work and I had to become organized. And I carry that on till today, and it's, I think something that's really important for, I think a younger coach who wants to get into this, I always say, go coach everything, coach it all, coach football, coach soccer, get out of your element a little bit. I just started coaching my little guys playing hockey. I just started hockey. I can't stop. I can skate forward, but there's no stopping with me. So I'm trying to figure that out on the fly as well. But it's just, I think anytime, if you want to be a coach, you can coach, and you want to go coach and you want to develop relationships. Yeah. And I think seeing, those kids succeed inside of those things and you playing a small role inside of that, that's what it's about, and when you can do those in a variety of different settings, you just start to figure it out a little bit about how you can coach and how you want to coach. And each team's different, obviously, within relationship side of things. But I think that was something that I really learned, through football football is such a passionate sport in the way of, you become so connected. And I think it's because you spend so much time together. And I personally took that and said, hey, this is exactly how I'm going to coach baseball. I'm not going to change that. I loved, the fact that, those relationships you build in football are so strong, and I think that I've really taken that kind of philosophy and pushed it into our baseball side of things here, and throughout my career, not just here. And it's been something that's been really successful for me so far. And I think when you have that kind of relationship with your players and other coaches and whatnot, it makes it special. Everything. That's great.
Do. No, you mentioned Coach T down in Georgetown. Well, I think he started with junior high girls basketball. So when you said that was probably the most difficult because of the organization, I remember him talking about the same thing, and I think that's just great. Great advice. I think we talked about the importance of just understanding the coaching and what other sports bring into it. So I think that's fantastic, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. You had a couple good years. I mean, just highlight a little bit about the last couple of years. Made it to regionals. Just what that was like with building the program and getting to that point.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've had, I've been pretty blessed. We've had some great kids here, some great young men, excuse me, and they've really, credit to them too. They bought in, and I think that that's a big piece. Coach, and you change some things, and I think a lot of it is, you go back to kind of that relationship factor of it, and it's the faster you can get them to buy in and believe, what you're trying to do. I think the faster that certain things will happen. And I'm not saying that everything I did was right. I mean, first year head coach, I think we hit COVID my first year. So it was a wild ride here for a little bit. But at the same time, we've had such a tremendous group, from year one on that, are just, I still, they'll be in and out of my office all day. We have guys who are working in the area that stop by practice every day. And, I just think when you build something again, that's special, and you make it, relationship oriented, and you make sure your kids are taken care of. And, it's not always just baseball, and I think that's something I took, from some great coaches, that, when you can come in and hang out and talk to them and, get to know them in their lives and get to know those types of things, by the time they become seniors, it's tough. They leave, and, I'm a pretty emotional guy on those side of things. So, you miss them, but it's always great to see them doing successful stuff. And it's something that we preach a lot of, when we specifically, not diving into the recruiting pitch, but it's, we talk about, this certainly is a 4-year commitment from a baseball side of things, but this is a lifelong commitment thing. You're always going to represent the program. People are going to ask you, where'd you play? It's, I played baseball at Husson, and we want to make sure we're doing the right things within that and making it so it's better for that next person who gets here. And, a wise man once said, leave it better than the person you found it. And, our group right now is doing a really good job of that.
That's awesome. And it's funny, I'm just going to make a point. Coaches, you guys are so humble. You want to talk about the championships and the great runs, and they always go back to kind of just the building the program right. And so, kudos to you. It's always tough. I always get coaches to talk about their years of championships. I had a guy down in Mississippi, and they just won the World Series Division II, and he kind of just brushed past it and wanted to talk about his players and the program. And so, it's across the board. That's what I love about the coaches in baseball specifically. It's about winning, but it's not about winning, right? It's about winning the game of life. And you guys really focus on that. Real quick, guys, make sure that you don't forget to subscribe. Like the channel, share the channel, make comments, give me some advice, give me some points, some things that you guys want to hear. But please make sure to do that. We've got Coach Chris Morris on with Husson University. We're now going to talk about the program. What makes Husson special? We just talked about the 2 championships, making to regionals. Obviously, that's not what the focus is, but it's always exciting to hit those levels. So, Chris, talk about the program, and then we'll get into some other things about the recruiting once you get through this.
Sure. Yeah, I think from us as a program side of things, the thing that really makes us special is obviously our location. To be honest, a lot of people I think would view us being up here in Bangor, Maine as a bit of a negative, and I don't. I view it as a positive for us, and it's because our group becomes so close because of that. Is there 10,000 different things? I say this to guys all the time. Is there 10,000 different things going on in Bangor, Maine? No. But is there enough stuff, going on in Bangor for you to be a college student? Absolutely. But a lot of the kids who come here into our program, that's not really what they're looking for. They want to get to a spot where, they can get a high level degree. They're going to have someone who's going to take care of them, and being part of a great coaching staff. And then they're going to want to be a part of a locker room that just loves each other. I just came out of there 30 minutes ago, and there's, we shout out to our alumni for making it happen, but we got a big locker room renovation. There's a ping pong table, and I don't know what game console we don't have in there. I know my son told me the other day he's 5 and he's ready for a PS5 or something. So I know we got something in there under those side of things. And, but it's just when I think you can see that side of it, it makes it really awesome, because then the baseball side of things starts to spin, right? And we talk a lot about in our program that success follows you. You know, if you're successful up in the classroom and you're taking care of business there, you're going to be confident in that. Then it's going to come down here. If you're, having success in the weight room, it's going to happen in the field. And then all of a sudden it's go there. And, a big line the boys love teasing me about, but I always say, I think to me, the number one factor in athletics is confidence. I've said that for years. I'll take those confident athletes that just believe in themselves. And I think that radiates throughout your program and radiates throughout your team. And, from being confident, I think you become a better player. And, that's something that when I look at our program right now, we have a lot of kids who just in that mold, and that's what they love about Husson, is those simple factors, that allow them to be successful in everything they do. And I think as a coaching staff, when you foster that, that's really, I think, been the key to our success. And obviously we've had quite a bit of success here in the past couple of years specifically. And, we're looking to take another step, hopefully this year with a pretty good nucleus coming back. But everything's got to be played. You got to go win some games. You got to play the games. You got to do those things. And every team's different, but it's certainly, I think every team's different, but when you keep your philosophies the same and you keep your approaches the same and, your message to the program is the same, it makes it easy for them to be successful.
You talked about confidence, and that's a great word. But confidence, there's a lot of things that go into making yourself confident, right? Are you looking for players that already have the confidence, or are you looking from there's so many things like the organization, the time management, focused on the things that are most important to get to the confidence. What specifically are you looking for from a player? Are they ones that have already developed it, or ones that you see the potential to build that confidence?
I think it's both. I think when you're looking at the factor of it, I think it's both. I think we see, and I probably am guilty of this more than I'm not. A kid comes up with runners on second and third, and I just see a big double in the gap, right? And that's probably my fault as a coach. But at the same time, I think, when my guys figure that out, they know I got a lot of confidence in them, right? And they know I believe in them. And I think a lot of that is probably how we practice, the tempo that we practice with. I see the work that they put in, and we got a big sign in our locker room that says, hard work develops confidence. Through confidence, become a better player. So I think that that's a big philosophy for us is, hey, come in here. You might not have all the tools you need right now, but come in here, put your head down, take care of business in the classroom, do what you need to do off the field, and then make sure that when we come in, we can work our butts off and get better. And I think when every kid does that, you just have a good sense of, yeah, I can do this, and then it's your job as a coach to foster that, right? To put them in successful spots and build them up. Not everybody, might be ready to throw day one. You got to make sure you got the right guy who's confident enough in his stuff to go there. But, if you have a plan, for an entire season and where you want to put guys and being able to give them a chance to succeed, within your system, I think it makes it so that they can be successful, later on in their career. And as you build them up, good things happen.
That's great. Bangor, Maine, you said there's not thousands of things to do, but there's enough for a college student. What's it like? Is it a rural? Is it campus life? Is it just talk kind of some of the fundamentals of the campus?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, I guess you could say. We're about a mile from downtown, but we're on the kind of the back skirt, so it is a little bit rural. Obviously, the location itself is very rural, but we do have a nice little city. There's a casino downtown. The waterfront concert series is unbelievable. There's thousands and thousands of people that come here throughout the summer months. And then you got, the University of Maine is about 20 minutes north of us. There's another couple of community colleges, within the city. So, there's enough of that where there's enough college students. You got almost 25, 30,000 college students within this kind of area. And I think when you look at it from that side of things, yeah, there's going to be some college towns. Is there going to be 30 different things for you to do on every night? No, there's not, and but like I said, I think that's an advantage for us, because then our guys are saying, okay, well, I'm not distracted by that. I'm going to get my work done. I'm going to make sure I'm ready to go. I'm going to get my sleep, do the stuff, and also be able to hang out with the boys. And then obviously when you hang out and you're close enough as a group, that comes through, I think towards the end of your season when everybody really kind of just loves each other and wants to be around each other. That's when you need to hit and it needs to click.
And Division III, there's no scholarships, but there's a lot of it's really academically focused. So I'm assuming Husson is really an academic kind of powerhouse, right?
Yes, we do a great job in the academic world. I mean, your business degrees, we just built a brand new, I guess, $24-25 million school business. We've been a business school for a little bit over 100 years. But physical therapy, occupational therapy, I mean, you can go through it, nursing, sports management. We offer a 5-year MBA now as well, which is obviously, really exciting on those side of things. And we're extremely affordable. For us, I mean, this would be bottom line, you're $33,000. That's room and board, tuition, the whole 9 yards. So from an affordability side of things, we make it really easy for you to hopefully be able to graduate where, you're not really worrying about spending, your early years, trying to pay off debt. And that's something that, speaking to our alums, was, something they don't really realize at the time. It's like, oh, I'm going to play baseball and doing this. And then they graduate and those bills start rolling in. And now it's like, wow, that was a really, really good decision on my half to be able to go there and get my degree and, now really be able to start my life in the right spot. So it's been a great thing. And me being a Husson grad, obviously I knew that pretty quick as well. So it's something that, we really embrace as well as a school. And, President Clark has done an unbelievable job with, updates and facilities and, what they do for athletics around here is just really, really special.
Great. That's great. All right. Well, let's talk about the recruit, the people, the kind of kids that you're looking for, and where do you find them, and what can they do to kind of make themselves known to you and your coaching staff?
Sure. I mean, for us, starting with just kind of a lot of, where we recruit a lot of, I know it's been a popular topic, are you, travel by, is a showcase, there's so much part of it. I think we do it all. I think as a coaching staff, we find, pros in everything, right? Through a showcase, we might certainly see skills that we like and those types of things, but we might want to see you in a game, right? It's, showcases and those things are perfect for those side of things to be able to see the skills and see certain attributes. But, really for us, there's a lot of other factors, that play into it that we feel like are important within us in our recruiting process. So that's really where we start. We're all over the place. Zach Sugar, my assistant associate head coach and recruiting coordinator, just does an unbelievable job between me and him as far as mixing and matching those things. And really probably been, as every head coach knows, you need that one guy that's, when you're saying something and it's way off, he's there to be like, here, we're a little off, So he's been obviously with me since day one, and we're not where we are at right now without him. He's just done an unbelievable job, so we thank him a lot for that. And even in the recruiting process, he does a great job. But we try to branch out as much as we can. We like to stay in New England. We do branch out outside of New England. I think specifically when kids have interest and do our homework with a little bit of me being at MIT and Brandeis. I do have some connections a little bit around the country, which help us in that side of things there. But as far as stuff that we really try to look at, I'm not a huge sit there with a radar gun and stopwatch and this. I'm a big use my eyes, and I think it's just pretty simple. I kind of learned that my first year. I had my son Max with me, and I take him with me a bunch recruiting. He's logged some miles in the car with Dad, but he was just like, wow, Dad, that kid throws hard. And I was like, wow, is it really that easy? I was like, yeah, he does. You're right, buddy. And, I was just like, wow, yeah, he does throw hard. You're right. And, certainly do we use the radar gun and those things? Yes. But I think it's, never lose the eye test. Yeah, I think being able to see somebody and do those things. And, that's certainly a big part of it for us throughout our recruiting process is just watching you play the game. How do you, approach teammates? Are you, do you just have your AirPods in the whole game? There's a lot of different factors, and, we understand that, that's some kids, that's how they lock in, and that's, something we learn throughout the process. And, obviously from our side of things, we do like the multi-sport athlete, we like that, but we understand that some kids, that's just not it. They just want to play baseball. Well, what else do you do? Yeah. Do you, are you working? Are you in a club? Are you doing something? I think being well-rounded and being involved in different aspects of your life, you might just be a baseball player, and we understand that and respect that. But be involved in something else, be a part of something else, meet new people, do other things, be passionate about things. And I think that radiates throughout, obviously, the program side of things there. And that's really where we kind of spearhead it. We're pretty active within that recruiting circle of things. And, try to reach out to a lot of coaches. I think that's another factor for me too, that I like to do is, touch base with opponents, other coaches who have seen you play, stuff that you don't always get to see, and those side of things. And then, really probably the two that are probably different. I have two little boys, obviously, and Coach Sugar has a little boy. We make it pretty easy. It's, is he going to be a role model for your sons?
That's good.
And they're around us 24/7. I mean, like I said, he's out. I hope he's not going crazy on the field right now. He's probably out there right now, but he's around us a lot. And I want both of my boys, and I want Coach Sugar's son to be around us a lot. And, do you play the game the way that I would want my son to play the game?
That's good.
And that's a really big factor for me. Do you love baseball? I think you find that out really quick. College baseball's a grind, specifically in Maine. In those cold weather states, you got to love it. You got to embrace it, and I think putting those kind of factors together, it makes it kind of easy and simple in a really hard way. But when you put those two together, and it's like, is he running down the line hard? Because I know if my son doesn't, I'm going to be like, hey, that was a soft 90. What are we doing? Yep. And, I think those types of things, when you recruit that way, it kind of puts it into perspective for you.
Well, that's a really good advice, right? Recruiting kids that you'd be proud to be around your son. That's great advice. Do you guys have camps? Do you have camps, or do you attend ones at maybe at the University of Maine, or what are some things that they may be available?
We'll host a prospect camp here during the summer, which is always a pretty big hit with our guys. And then we're at just about every one of the University of Maine camps, with them being so close to us. And Coach Durba, Coach Heath, they do a great job up there. So they're always, welcoming with us up there. So it's been awesome to be able to work with them over the few years here. And then we're really all over the place. I'll be honest with you. That's kind of, we don't really settle ourselves in, I think, to just one kind of set of camps or anything like that. Right. We try to get to just about everything we can, within our region here, and branch ourselves out a little bit if we can. But we spend a lot of time on the road, and I think that's kind of goes back to, where if you're, a student athlete who, has some interest, in us specifically, it's always great for me to get those emails of like, hey, this is what my summer is going to look like. Yeah. I think that's a really big part of that. I think if you're an organized student athlete where, you got a transcript and, you've got your summer schedule and, you've done your homework on the schools a little bit, certainly does it. I know that's a common, do your homework on the schools and whatnot. And I get it. You're going to send, 10 or 15 emails to schools. You're not going to write an individual one to each school. That's going to be tough. But I think take a little bit of time on each email and do your homework if you're really interested. Yeah. And I think that's, if you're looking to just get recruited, then yeah, it's easy. But I think having a little bit of that invested interest in it and show that, you are going to take a little bit of pride. It is your future, specifically at our level. Division III, there's no scholarship. So it's, what you make of it and putting that academic piece together is really that next phase after baseball for you. So I think being able to have that from a student athlete perspective, and I don't think it's too early. I think a lot of, sophomores and stuff, it seems like the process has started even earlier. But I think starting to get an idea of what you like, what you don't like, be able to go on some campus tours during, if you're in travel ball or you're somewhere, traveling around, go drive around to campus, take a peek. You start to get an idea, I think, of really what you are looking for, and I think if you try to do that early, it could really help you a lot, when you go to get into that recruiting process, if you'd like to play, in college, which I think is a really a cool thing that I've seen here the past couple of years, specifically here at Husson. We've had a lot of kids, that have sent us that kind of an email. And I was like, wow, it's a really good idea. It gives me a chance to be like, oh, like I'll see him here and I can, put you in our database and, we have a log of who we see at these events and, tournaments and whatnot. And, it's certainly been really beneficial.
No, that's fantastic advice, right? Just, giving coaches maybe the schedule of where you're going to be, what you're going to do, gives them an opportunity to kind of to work on their recruiting schedule and what they're going to do. I think that's fantastic. The other thing is what I love to hear is when coaches talk about things that are not baseball specific, right? The things that preparing, recruiting is you're selling yourself, but you're also looking at something that you want to buy. And so it's the it's both, it goes both directions, right? To go in the campuses, see what it's like, maybe away from the coach, away from the baseball program. And is this a place that you feel like would fit your life and what you want to be part of? And you talked about it early on. It's a 4-year commitment, right? This is 4 years of your life, and it better be more than just the baseball program, although that's a huge part, obviously, for Chris and his staff. But that's not it. And so I think that's great. Coach, I appreciate the opportunity, man. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being part of the program. Looking forward to just continue to follow your program. What's the season look like? You guys have come back to back, great seasons. You got a great group of kids coming back, and what's it look like?
Yeah, it's kind of, actually it's funny. I was talking to somebody earlier today and local news, and they kind of asked me the same question. It's kind of the first year here that I've had an older group. So it's kind of funny. You start to, there's things that I don't have to coach anymore. It's like, oh, hey, like those older guys are taking care of those things and doing that. And I think just taking it kind of one day at a time, that's kind of been our approach. There's going to be ups and downs throughout a season. But I think when you have had the success that we've had, certainly there's expectations involved in those types of things. But I think for us, it's just take it day by day. We tell them that find a way to get better today. Challenge yourself, make a teammate better today, communicate with a teammate, do those types of things. But we're excited about it. It's a really fun group so far. These few weeks that we've kind of been together here, it's been a blast to be able to coach them, and certainly a lot of guys who love the game of baseball. And I think when you put a bunch of guys who you love to be around and they love baseball like I do, it makes my job pretty easy. So we're excited to work with them
That's
season.
Great. Win each day. I think I heard that from a legendary coach one time. Win each day. So I think that's fantastic. Coach, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Thank you again for all you do.